Well, I have sympathy for his statement. I believe that he was trying to speak the truth, but you can't go over that line. We know that the referees are sacred cows in this league, and the NBA is going to punish it. So he learned a lesson that probably is valuable to him.
That's usually you talking about the referees getting fined every year. This is new for him.
Yeah, but I wait for appropriate time to do it. When it really matters.
What do you think the appropriate time is to do it? What do you think is the appropriate time to do it?
When it makes a difference in the playoffs, maybe you might be able to twist somebody's arm to react or recognize something.
What was the heaviest fine you ever got for ripping the officials?
I don't think I've ever ripped the officials. The one that bothered me the most is they make us go out at the quarter break to talk to the officiating. And she asked me what went wrong in that first quarter, and I said, well, they shot all those free throws, 15 free throws or something in the first quarter. That's something right there. And I got fined for that. But that's probably, those things, they come and go.
Do you remember what the largest fine was?
Yes, I do, but I don't disclose that. The league doesn't want me to disclose that either. So,
is it better if it comes from a coach rather than a player? James Worthy made the point on TV the other night that if a player does it, he always runs the risk that the officials might have a vendetta against him. Would you rather that just comes from you?
I actually told the team, I rue the fact that perhaps I don't get into referees and get technicals. I don't think it does any good. I see, coaches belaboring and challenging officials in sideline, and I think that it overwhelms them. It helps. It infringes their best judgment, and I'm about good sportsmanship in that regard. I want a fair game called, and I don't want a prejudice to the official. Obviously, I want to question him if I think something goes wrong in something. Looks inadequate or unjust. And, those situations, I think sometimes you have to stand up for your players, and that's one of the things I rue is that perhaps I didn't stand up for Andrew. There's a couple of situations late in the ball game that, really changed that game, and I don't know if a technical or berating officials could do that.
How effective is it during a playoff series, for example, between games 1 and game 2, you say something, do officials take note of it? Does it make a difference?
I don't really think so. It's some of it's venting, I think, in a way. So it's trying to, change the course and the tide. When you discuss a basketball game with a team, a lot of what you discuss with them is how you play the game. You play the game above the officiating a lot of times, regardless of what the calls are. You play beyond it because calls they're gonna make mistakes. That's what it is. It's all. Not objective. It's subjective, and they're subjective because the fans are behind it. Maybe Mark Cuban's sitting there watching them in a ball game. Maybe they're.
That would be a shock.
Yeah.
As much as you make, the fine doesn't matter, though, does it?
It always matters.
Really?
Yeah. It always matters. But in this case, I think that it's better to really want these guys to do the right thing. And so as a player. How do you get that done? You get that done by execution, by hustle, by being in control, looking like you're poised out there. When a call goes against you, to let it go and move on.
There's a weird play that just happened. Atlanta's hosting Dallas. 1-point game, 2 minutes to go. Mike Woodson was standing on the court, and Jason Kidd ran into him. Right. Did you see it?
I heard about it, and as you know, I've been talking about it. Coaches being on the floor for the last 5 years. Brought it up in our coaches' association meetings. That coaches have a box, that's where they're supposed to be, and they're not supposed to be on the floor. They're not players. And, we have a number of coaches that do that and actually defend from that position. They actually try to harass the opposing team. That's not what the game's about. And I'm anxious to see, or, interested in seeing how the league applies this.
Does the league need to, I was just thinking while you were talking just now about one of the Dallas assistants, every time the ball went in that corner in front of their bench, he would stand up. Going back to the Boston series in the finals, their players were always up when your guys were shooting. Does the league need to kind of take a closer look at that?
They made a big adjustment last year and told people they had to sit down. The only person that could stand up was the head coach. When McMillan had the Achilles problem in Portland, they came down and said, their assistant coach will be up. And, because McMillan, they can't get off the bench. But they really only want one guy up, and that's the head coach. And, from my standpoint, when I grew up, coaches didn't get up except to maybe stand up so they could be seen and call a play, and then they sat back down. This is really a new advent in the last 20, 25 years of coaches pacing the sideline and being active. It just wasn't part of the game.
Dr. Jack would sit on one knee and
Yeah.
coach the whole game.
I asked Lamar a similar question about how long it takes for a player to be able to adjust to officials, to build up a reputation where you can talk to an official without getting teed up or complaining. From your perspective, how long do you think that takes for a player, or is it just vary depending on your place in the league?
It depends. You know, we've seen rookies come in that are highly talented that start right away. You know, Allen Iverson was right away, I think, at officials when he came in. And, you know, he's a first-round draft pick. It makes a difference as to, you know, where you are in the pecking order. You know, we've got guys that, you know, they still aren't recognized. You know, Shannon Brown, you know, he's a guy that's, you know, not a recognizable, you know, star, so to speak. And so, you know, those guys don't have clout. And, you know, we ask them, you know, let the captains do the speaking to the officials. They'll carry your message over.
Someone like Sasha tends to complain a fair amount after he gets, you know, he's been shot or something. Does that hold him back, though, in terms of how much he can achieve on the court? I mean, is he ever going to be able to get a call because, I mean, the refs have...
Well, his resolution this year was to zip it up. And we have a little signal for him when he's on the floor, zip it up, close your mouth, don't complain. And, you know, I think it prejudices officials, and you know, he's got to stay away from that, and I think it takes him away from his best play. But, you know, Sasha is who he is, and, you know, that's a real tough thing for him to do. So, you know, he'll eventually get to it.
Where's
Andrew? Andrew's great. I mean, Andrew has his, I mean, most of the time he just laughs. You know, he gets fouled or something, he'll just go like, and laugh about it. So really, he's not a vindictive player. He's not angry at the officials. You know, he's kind of an easy come
no
kind of guy. Anyway,
anything he has to do with.
Is it more prevalent that rookies will be chirping from day one when they come into the league?
no, I don't think so. I mean, I like players. You know, you see a lot of these young players. Durant's one of the kind of guys that plays the game. And, you know, you rarely see him, you know, go over and complain. I think there's a lot of young guys that have stayed away from, you know, that kind of thing. And then you see guys that are bargaining all the time that they can't not go over and talk. You know, and those are things I think the league has tried to get away from, and they ask players not to do that. And they've tried to develop a communication, but let's not be belaboring every single call.
When you say the league has been trying to cut down on players and coaches standing up near guys who are shooting, almost like an intimidation factor, do you see the referees ignoring it, or, you know, calling it
They have
more
so
often?
many things to take care of in a game situation. I mean, I mean, really one of their jobs is just to keep the game going, keep it moving along. It's a 2-hour, 30-minute broadcast or whatever, and they're trying to keep those things going along in an even tempo. You know, for example, the other night we had a situation which was a jump ball, and he almost ended up having to go do a replay on a jump ball. It was like pretty basic. Lamar had the basketball, dove on him, probably should have been a foul, and then, you know, it ended up, he didn't even have the jump ball. It ended up being Jordan and Beauvoir that had it. I don't know what it was, like 3 minutes later, 4 minutes later before they got it straight. I mean, those are things that shouldn't happen in a basketball game. You know, this is a jump ball situation that's on the floor. I mean, you can see balls that go off people underneath the basket at the end of the game that might be critical, that they have review possibilities, and they're using that this year. But all those things curtail the game moving along in a timely fashion, and I think that's what we all want.